It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of December 4th, 1992. Again, two movies to look at today, so this will be a pretty quick one. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. We're going to start off with the first movie that we have here, the biggest new release of the weekend, and actually one of the rare early movies of Eddie Murphy that was not released by Paramount, because Eddie Murphy had released a number of movies with Paramount, but then this movie was released by Disney, and that movie is The Distinguished Gentleman.
Oh, waiter, where's my bourbon sour?
Oh, you must think I'm Kareem. I'm Jamal. He stiff you in your drinks, too? He fired. Kareem, where's this woman's drink?
Thomas Jefferson Johnson is no ordinary con man.
Take the damn money. Take the watch, please.
You know this goes against my every principle.
There is only one place for people like him.
I want to tell y'all about a town where the streets are paved with gold.
You mean Las Vegas?
No, not Las Vegas.
He's talking about Washington, D.C.
I am running for Congress.
Now, Thomas Johnson Con Man is Thomas Johnson Congressman.
Read my lips!
We have a new member joining us today, the distinguished gentleman from Florida.
Paul Zickhauser, American Tobacco Council.
Paul,
I'm going to be extremely frank with you. That is, if you're interested in fundraising.
well, I'm very flattered, Mr. Chairman.
Dick.
Well, I'm very flattered, Mr. Dick.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chairman Dick.
No, Dick, just Dick.
Oh, just Dick, just plain old Dick.
We feel that the semi-automatic weapons gotten a bad rap. Really, they're just guns for the ordinary sportsman.
Then like a nice warm Uzi. Must have had a heart attack.
Hollywood Pictures presents Eddie Murphy.
And I think it is wrong when students have to stay up late at night and miss all the good shows, doing homework, then get up early in the morning and go to school. This sort of thing just is not fair.
He's going to do to Congress what Congress has been doing to you.
I got a sprinkler too now. Back at you. All right, then.
The Distinguished Gentleman.
Aren't you going to vote?
Is that what that means? You know, all this time I thought that meant it was time for Final Jeopardy or something.
So really the most notable thing about this movie is that this is the first movie that Eddie Murphy did outside of Paramount, because for 10 years he was mostly doing movies for that studio. He did movies like the 48 Hours movies, the Beverly Hills Cop movies, Trading Places, The Golden Child, Harlem Nights, Eddie Murphy Raw, Best Defense, Coming to America, and recently he had done Boomerang. So he appears in this movie by Disney, basically, and someone who works for the New York Times, Bernie Weinrob, basically said that Murphy wanted to move beyond the tepid material he had been given by Paramount, and the writer of this, Marty Kaplan, was actually a Washington insider. He wrote a lot of speeches for Walter Mondale when he was vice president. And basically he said, "I feel like I've come close to winning the jackpot. And oh, if only this movie felt like you won the jackpot. This movie's more like getting 2 things out of 3 on a lottery ticket and winning like $20 or something." I mean, bottom line, the movie, it's a good movie, not a great movie. This is a movie that has a good concept to it, and an idea for a movie that I think they should have went more for a heavier push on the comedy. Like, be really biting satire. Don't just go for the easy jokes you can make, because there's a lot of jokes in here that are really tame. They're really tame. Like, you could watch an episode of Murphy Brown, and there'll be much more risque jokes on that series than there was in this movie. I mean, sometimes the jokes do work, but you're just waiting for the jokes to work and waiting for the punchline, and that really is very few and far between in this movie. Plus, the trailer makes you think it's a screwball comedy, like everything's going to happen so quickly, but it moves a lot slower than you would believe it would, judging by that preview we just saw. I mean, it moves a lot slower. This is not a long movie at all. This is only a movie about 2 hours long, honestly, but there are so many dull moments in here that don't really lead to anything of worth. It's not a bad movie. It's a disappointment mostly considering what it could be. Eddie Murphy is a politician doing to Congress what Congress had been doing to you, and yet the movie never lives up to that potential. There are some moments in here that do work, but and like I said, Eddie Murphy's, I mean, I haven't said this yet, but Eddie Murphy I think is perfectly fine here. They got a good cast overall in this movie, but it just never lives up to the potential that premise and that trailer give you. It felt like a movie that could have had something really good if they actually went all in, but this felt like a movie that they were just trying to make safe and marketable, so it can make some money at the box office and then just go away. But which I guess it kind of did. But it's not one that I usually want to watch over and over again. It's one of those Eddie Murphy movies that I just think it's just okay, but it definitely could have been a whole lot better. So that's The Distinguished Gentleman. Let's go ahead and move on to the second movie, which is a movie you probably never heard of, but you've definitely seen the people that are involved in it. It's Steve Odekirk and Jim Carrey starring in High Strung.
Hi, sir. How are you today?
What are you selling?
Well, it's not so much what I'm selling, sir, as it is what I have to offer.
Oh, well, what do you have to offer that just happens to cost money?
Please turn the music down, little. Turn down the music!
I'll tell you, you gotta relax. Get away. Take a vacation. Please, I hate vacations. Even if you have a good time, the second you get back, everybody bugs you. Did you have a good time? What'd you do? Did you bring any pictures? It's a nightmare. Marv? Did that scare you?
I told you! I'm fine!
Okay, you know what? Truth be told, I think a lot of us could actually relate to this guy. The premise of this movie is pretty simple. Steve Odekirk plays an uptight children's author who rarely leaves his house, eats only cereal, and is irritated by everything around him. Which, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. And Jim Carrey plays the devil. Yeah, I'd never even heard of this movie until I looked it up. But of course, I don't need to talk about Jim Carrey. We all know who Jim Carrey is. But Steve Odekirk, you probably don't know, but you've definitely seen his work before. This is the guy that wrote for Jimmy Neutron. He directed Barnyard. He directed Kung Pao Went to the Fist. He directed Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. He wrote Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. He's written a lot of movies that you are very familiar with. And you also see a cast in here that includes Tom Wilson from Back to the Future, Denise Crosby from the Star Trek: The Next Generation, Fred Willard. You see a young Kirsten Dunst in this movie. I've never seen this movie before, but judging by what I see here, I kind of want to see it for just how crazy this looks. And somewhat you can relate to a lot of this. Like, I think a lot of cynical people can definitely relate to this movie. I know I can be very cynical at times. I try my best to be nice to people as much as I can, but I can be a little cynical sometimes, and I can definitely relate to this guy here. So, I mean, I do kind of want to see this movie. I mean, this is a movie that it's apparently got a good, strong cult fan base, and you can watch it online for free on YouTube. So, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll check it out. Yeah. Like I said, I never heard of this movie until I did the research here. High Strung. And so, on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll have 4 movies to look at, including Rob Reiner's A Few Good Men, which stars Demi Moore, Tom Cruise, and Jack Nicholson. And we also have the Christmas Carol adaptation, The Muppet Christmas Carol, with Michael Caine as Ebenezer Scrooge. Also, Passion Fish and Night of Day. We're coming to the end of 92 here, people, so that's gonna take up the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.